Okay, hello everyone. More people may join, but let's start. So first of all, thank you very much for joining this webinar. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. That's the most important thing right now. My name is Jakub. I'm in charge of sales for the US market in Canada, and I will give you a brief update about in vivo testing. I will try to keep it short and sweet, so 15 to 20 minutes max, and then we'll have time for some questions. So please put the questions in the question box that Zoom permits. So just briefly about Zurko Research for those of you who may not know us. So we are a European-based CRO based in Madrid, Spain. We have over 15 years of experience. We do in vivo, in vitro, and also ex vivo testing. We test close to 7,000 products a year, and we work with partners around the globe in 18 different countries. Our main lines of business include testing for cosmetics, but also medical devices and biocides, and we also do provide regulatory support if you're looking to launch a product in the EU. In terms of quality management system and certifications, we have the ISO 9001 certification. We also have the ISO IEC 17025, which permits us to work with biocides. We are registered with the FDA in the US, of course, and then we have the Crédit d'impôt de recherche granted by the French government. I'm sure many of you are asking yourselves what is going to happen to in vivo testing. So you need to launch your product, you need to conduct some testing. You would like to do it as quickly as possible. But how is in vivo testing looking right now? Is it possible? Can you do in vivo testing and also respect social distancing? So we've been asking ourselves the same questions, and we see three main routes going forward. So first of all, innovation. So we looked at some of the tests that we do, and we ask ourselves, can we do them differently? Can we innovate? Can we leverage technology? And that's how the smart testing idea was born. I will give you more details about smart testing in a minute. Adaptation. So as many of you know, we have reopened our in vivo lab. We have implemented several protection measures. I will discuss these. I will show you some pictures. You'll get a good idea of how the in vivo testing is looking right now. And I will also give you details about different tests that we do and about the timelines. And then there's always the in vitro alternative, not for all of the studies, but for some of them. So if you're interested in vitro studies or ex vivo studies, please contact us. But that's a topic for a different session. Let's focus on innovation and adaptation. So first, innovation. Smart testing. Okay, so what is actually smart testing? So smart testing, we have adapted the home consumer perception tests, leveraging technology, so there's no physical contact between our staff and the panelists. So social distancing is fully respected. Why? So because of the global pandemic, we knew we had to look for different ways of testing. Companies are waiting to launch their product. We need to provide solutions. So we worked on an alternative. And so what for you guys? I hope this testing modality will fit your needs. Okay, so here you can see the smart testing at one glance. So it's a very simple process. It consists of only 5 steps. I will explain all of these steps in the following slides. But for the moment, please keep in mind, social distancing is respected. We're using online technology. The panelists don't even have to leave their homes in order to participate in the study. We're using an external delivery service. So it's a different approach to the traditional consumer perception test. So step number 1. We evaluate the project, so we see if the product at hand can be tested with this methodology. If yes, then we go to the recruitment phase. How do we recruit panelists? So we have a database of close to 7,000 panelists. So we know all of our panelists. These are not random people. All of them, in order to be included in the database, had to undergo a dermatological assessment at our facility, so before the entire COVID situation. And we also have a lot of demographic data on the panelists who can use segmentation filters. We know pretty much everything about them. Then we go to step number 2. So once we have selected the right panelists, then we do a second online assessment. So we do it via a video phone call. So it can be done either by a technician or by a technician with a dermatologist or ophthalmologist if they're part of the study. So we want to see and evaluate the state of the skin of the panelists at the very beginning of the study. And then once we verify all the inclusion-exclusion criteria and the panelist is good to go, then we explain how the product should be used. Because some products are very easy to use, apply once daily, but some products, maybe there could be 4 products regimen where you need to use them in a very specific order. So then we will send the panelists a pre-recorded video explaining how to exactly use the product. And then, of course, the panelists will have to send us the consent form in line with the regulation. So then we go to step number 3. And again, it's different because the panelists don't have to come to our offices to pick up the product. We will send it to them. So we'll use an external delivery service, so completely contactless. Our staff will confirm with the panelists if they have received the product correctly. And then in the course of the study, our staff, again, follows up with the panelists to make sure that they're using the product correctly and that there are no alterations on the skin. So once the study is done, after X amount of days defined by the protocol, we go to the evaluation phase. In the evaluation phase, again, we do a final assessment via video phone call. We use our internal dermatological scale, and this call will be conducted by our technician. And if dermatologist or ophthalmologist control is included, they will be also present at the call. And then the panelists will have to fill out an online questionnaire. So of course we have templates for questionnaires. We have done a lot of these studies. You can customize them. So if you would like to take it as a template and then add questions, remove questions, you're free to do it. And we can advise you because sometimes too many questions don't favor a better result. And then we go to number 5, to step number 5. So we do the analysis and the study report. So what will you receive with the study report? So all of the data that you typically receive. So apart from the clinical assessment score, obviously all the inclusion and exclusion criteria, testing methodology, conclusions of the study, the schedule of the study, etc. And then you will also receive a summary of subjective claims from the previous point. So as you can see here on those radar charts below, this is the data that you would typically obtain. And then this can be used as the basis for subjective claims. So anything in lines of 80–90% of panels feel, consider, notice, perceive, so subjective claims. Okay, and how long do we have to wait for the study report? So our main point of differentiation is our turnaround time when it comes to the study report. We take only 10 business days for any standard efficacy study. So we want to be competitive in this aspect. We know that our competitors take 20 business days, 30 business days. We feel that 10 business days provides us the point of differentiation to be able to compete in the market and add value. But for this study, we will be delivering the final report in only 1 week. So really, that's as quick as it gets. Okay, so let's recap on the key benefits of the smart testing. So first of all, there's no physical contact between panelists and staff. So social distancing is respected. We leverage technology, so it's much safer. Then we 100% guarantee equally valid results. So this testing methodology is in line with European regulation, and you will obtain exactly the same results when it comes to validity of these results. And then the turnaround time. So as I mentioned before, we're very quick to deliver the final study report, but also when it comes to recruitment, also when it comes to the delivery of the product to the panelists. So we want to do it as quickly as possible because we understand that everybody is in a hurry, and especially now more than ever when we have to launch the product. And then point number 4, dermatologists and ophthalmologists can be part of the study. And number 5, sustainability. Maybe not the most important aspect of this testing methodology, but hey, the panelists don't have to go back and forth to visit our lab to pick up the product and to come through the final assessment. So instead of 4 journeys, there's only 1 journey and done by the external delivery service. Okay, so this is the smart testing. I hope it will spark your interest. And now let's move on to the in vivo reopening, because I'm sure most of you are waiting to see how does the in vivo reopening look like. So first of all, I will share with you what kind of measures have we taken. You will see pictures of how our facilities look like at the moment, what kind of safety measures we have taken, how the testing looked like. I will show examples of different tests, and then you will get a pretty good idea how it looks like in reality. Then what is the actual calendar? I know it's very important for all of you, so I will share the actual reopening calendar, and then I will go into detail about which studies are available and what is the approximate timeline. Okay, so here you can see our lovely receptionist and a panelist signing in. As you can see, the gentleman is wearing gloves and a mask. It's mandatory to wear them when you come to do testing at our facilities. Of course, if they forget it or if they don't wear them, we will supply it with them. All of the panelists have to sanitize their hands when they enter the building, and also when they enter the specific testing room. And when they enter the building, their body temperature is taken. Over here, you can see that we have installed protection glasses at several points at our facilities to respect the social distancing. And here's our waiting room. So we have removed, first of all, half of the chairs from the waiting room. Then all of the chairs are covered with black chair covers, which are being removed and washed daily. So very important. And then when the panelists are waiting in the waiting room, there needs to be a distance between them, so we respect social distancing. We have installed floor marks at several points at our facilities, so we can direct the traffic. And over here, you can see a blueprint of our facilities. So our facilities are quite large. We have 500 square meters or 6,000 square feet. The most important thing that I want to communicate here is that different tests are being conducted in different rooms. So if you go for SPF testing, there's a separate room for SPF testing. If you need to be assessed by a dermatologist, there's a separate room where our dermatologist is assessing the panelists. Separate room for efficacy testing, separate room for product safety testing, separate hot room. So we can conduct a lot of the studies at the same time. So what becomes the most important part is actually directing the traffic of the people so they don't bump into each other when they enter or leave the rooms. In this picture, you can see a member of our staff. She's wearing a full PPE, and here she's standing next to the solar multi-port machine. So SPF studies are one of the few studies that will be impacted in terms of timelines. Not a lot. We think it will take maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks more than before. And why? Basically, we have seen that we cannot use all of the machines at the same time. There's just not enough distance between panelists. So we had to remove one of the machines, and we are using only 2 machines at any given time point. But please remember that I think we're one of the very few, or even the only CRO that actually conducts SPF testing at this point of time. Same goes for bathtubs. For the water resistant studies, we will be using only 1 at a time. For product safety testing, again, it may take a little bit more time, but 1 or 2 weeks on top of what we usually offer. And now we come to the product efficacy testing for skincare studies. So the good news is there will be no impact in terms of timelines. Why? So basically, before the pandemic, we would always have just 1 person in the efficacy room where we would conduct the measurements. And now, again, we'll have only 1 person, and she'll be wearing a mask. So you may wonder, so how do you take measurements? So people need to respect social distancing, they're wearing masks. How do you do it? So I'll show you some pictures of how we do it. So in this picture, you can see the member of our staff doing a measurement with a cutometer on a panelist. So as you can see, the panelist is wearing a mask, but we can still take measurements on her temple, in her crow's feet, on the forehead, and even on the cheeks. And then, of course, on the forearms. So even when wearing the mask, most of the measurements are still possible. Of course, there are other measurements. So, for example, if we take full face pictures with the VISIA or with the Primus, then the panelist will have to remove their mask. We'll take the picture, and he or she will put the mask back on. But it's still very safe. And of course, it goes without saying that all of the equipment is being sanitized after every use. And we clean all of the rooms and all of the common areas constantly. And also I would like to stress out that we strictly follow the guidelines issued by the Spanish Ministry of Health. So we're fully 100% compliant with that. Okay, so these were the pictures of facilities and how we adapted to the new reality. And now let's take a look at the reopening schedule. So first of all, please bear in mind that the wave of the coronavirus came to Spain very early. So we were the second country after Italy that was affected. We were heavily affected, that's true. And we had to close our facilities. So we proactively closed our facilities before any guidance was issued by the government. We knew that it was just not safe anymore. And we closed the facilities on March 12th. Most of the staff was doing home office, but our in vitro lab was fully operational as it is considered a essential service for the state. But the in vivo was suspended. So as the situation started to improve in Spain, we went in the same direction. On April 28th, we started to implement all of the measures that you have seen. And we also started to conduct some of the studies, basically to see an idea how we do. So how is it working? Is it possible? So people wearing masks, respecting social distancing, can we actually do these studies? Do our panelists feel safe? Our staff, our people feel safe? Because if either of the two parties is not feeling safe and comfortable, it just won't work. So actually, it has been working really well. So we tried it for 3 weeks. It has been working really, really well. So we decided to fully reopen the lab on May 18th. And this goes also in line with the general situation in Spain. So we went from probably most strict lockdown in the entire world to the government lifting a lot of the restrictions. So a lot of the restrictions had been lifted. So for example, 10 people can gather, and meet together. So it's like we have a life finally. So the strict lockdown has yielded results, and we see that the situation has improved massively in Spain. And therefore, we feel that it's the right moment also to reopen the in vivo lab. Okay, so let's go to timelines, because I'm sure that's what you were looking for. So we have grouped the tests in 3 different categories. So first, I will show you the tests where there will be no impact on the timeline. So same study schedules as before. Then we'll go to the studies that there will be some impact on the timelines. As I said before, probably 1 to 2 weeks more than before. And then there's one study that we still cannot conduct. So studies where there will be no impact on the timeline. So for example, all of the skincare studies, from simple hydration studies to anti-aging studies, studies with oily skin, there will be no impact on the timeline. Same goes for body care studies, for makeup studies, for studies for deodorants and antiperspirants, specifically the anti-yellow and anti-white stains, hair care studies, and of course the smart testing. Now we can see the studies where there will be some impact on the timelines. So SPF testing, as mentioned before, also antiperspirant studies. We have to manage the hot room. We cannot have too many people in the hot room at one point of time. Also oral care studies, some of the safety studies, so patch test, RIPT, and also the stinging test or the traditional home test / consumer perception studies. And then there's still one study that we're looking for an alternative solution, that's the sniff test. Okay, but probably you have to say, okay, but what is the actual timeline? So I'll give you an example of 4 studies where you'll be able to see if you have your product ready and you're waiting for it to be tested, how long will it take? Okay, so let's start with smart testing. So for panel recruitment, we need 5 days or less. To be honest, even with less than 5 days, we are able to recruit a panel for the study. We're talking about a 30 people strong panel and the study duration, depending on the protocol, let's say 28 days. And the final report, as I mentioned before, within 5 business days, so only 1 week. Okay, when you go then to a skincare study, let's say we want to do an anti-aging study using cutometer, Primos, VICIA, etc. How long will it take? So in order to recruit the panel, 5 to 10 business days, so less than 2 weeks, the panel will be recruited. We're talking about a 30 people strong panel. The study we recommend obviously for anti-aging 60 days, and that's when we will get the best results. And the final report within 10 business days. So again, 10 business days, we feel that that's our main competitive advantage. It's not 20 business days, it's not 30 business days, it's just 2 weeks. So if you're looking to launch your product quickly, that's an important advantage. Then SPF studies. It will take about 10 to 15 days to recruit the panel. We're talking about a full panel of 10 panelists, and the study duration 15 to 20 days. Okay, and the final report will be issued within 10 business days. But of course, we share the top line results as the SPF result. We know it once the study is completed. We'll share it within 48 hours. And then antiperspirant study, for example, following the FDA protocol, 10 to 15 business days, 30 panelists. The study will take somewhere around 40 days, including the pre-washout period. And again, 10 business days for the final study report. So yeah, I hope these timelines are competitive. That you get an idea of how quickly can we get the testing done. And yes, I sincerely hope that you find this timelines competitive. And that's it really. So I just want to tell you that we're really excited. Everyone's going through a tough period. So some countries were affected earlier than others. So for those of you who are still struggling with the coronavirus, you will beat it. You will get there. The situation in Spain was not looking very rosy, and in the end, it's a different reality right now. So we were very excited. We feel we're ready to conduct the VIVO testing again. And yes, if you have questions, please let me know. I see there are some questions, so I will answer these questions now. Yes, so the first question, do we have dermatologically characterize your 7,000 panelists? Yes, so every panelist that came, that became our panelist, that was included in the database, had to come to our facilities. So apart of filling out the questionnaire, the panelist is assessed by our dermatologist. Okay, so we need to know what type of skin does he have. And yes, it was done for each and every one of the panelists. Please bear in mind that along 15 years of existence, we have seen a lot of people, and it takes time obviously to evaluate 7,000 panelists, but we have done it. It is also important for us because we evaluate not only the skin on the face, let's say for the skincare studies, but also the skin on the back, the color of the skin on the back. Please bear in mind that not all of the panelists can participate in SPF studies. So to give you an idea, only 2 out of 10 new panelists that we see can be included in the SPF studies. So yes, all of them were assessed, and they gave us the demographic data. How do you clean the corneometer? So we bought specific type of cleaning material. I don't know, to be honest, what is it called? And then we're using sanitizing product that is appropriate for this type of cleaning. Last slide. What testing? So what testing cannot be done at the moment? So it's the sniff test. So at the moment, we still cannot do the sniff test. Why? When you do the sniff test, there's a very close contact between the panelists and the staff. So we are looking for an alternative because right now, plus the panelist it's a complicated study in general. So especially now, we feel that it's still not the right moment to conduct the study. And then another question: will subjects take off mask for acclimatization before taking visa photos? I believe mask may have some impact on skin like color. Thank you. Yes, they will. They will. So in general, I don't know if what was clear on the blueprint, I didn't stress that, but in general, when the panelists enter our facilities, they wait in the waiting room. Then there's a small second waiting room when we do the entire acclimatization process. So they need to sit there for 20 minutes for the acclimatization process. And yes, for these type of studies, with VCI especially, they will take the mask. So for example, what we would do is first take the pictures with VCI and then other measurements if they were relevant. Okay, so what is the backlog for products? So for example, if something was submitted for clinical testing first week of June. So in general, all of our timelines, we take as day 0, the day the products arrive at our facilities. So it takes 1 or 2 days to send them within Europe and maybe 2 to 4 to 5 days, depending on the service from the US or Canada. So that's day 0. Once we have received the products at our facilities, we start the recruitment. So the recruitment, it depends, for example, anti-aging studies. First of all, it depends how many anti-aging studies do we have, are we conducting at this very moment. If there are not a lot of studies, we are usually able to recruit a panel of 30 within 5 days. If we had more studies at hand, we would then take maybe 5 to 10 days. So 5 to 10 days for recruitment. Then, depending on the protocol, how long is the study? 30 days, 60 days. We recommend, obviously, 60 days for anti-aging studies, and then 10 days for the business report, for the final report. So you're looking at worst case scenario, 10 business days, so 2 weeks plus 8 weeks of study plus another 2 weeks. So you're looking at 12 weeks. So some 12 to, let's say, 13 weeks, but no more than that. Okay, how to ensure the cleanliness of the people? Yes, I mean, it's not something. It's something that has become more relevant right now at this point of time, obviously because of the COVID pandemic. But it has been, an issue that we have coped with during many years. When we invite the panelists to come to our offices, obviously they get the instructions. We put politely that they should, come to our offices and be clean, wear a mask, etc. Even before the COVID situation, we had some cases that the people were maybe not smelling nice. No, it doesn't happen every day. It happens once in a while. But if these people, do not keep basing hygiene routine, they're not invited anymore. So as simple as that. Okay, for anti-aging studies, what kind of equipment do we use? So depending on the study, so basic equipment, we would use a scutometer for elasticity, VCO scan or Primos. We obviously prefer Primos as it is much better for wrinkles. Then you can also use Mexameter for the age spots. And then you can add another equipment if you want to measure hydration or transepidermal water loss, etc. Okay, why does the report for smart testing take only 5 days and the other 10 business days? For most efficacy studies, the part that takes the longest is the analysis of data. So the data that is extracted from the equipment, that's what takes the most amount of time. So in the home test studies or the consumer perception studies, there's not that much analysis. We get the subjective data, but it's not very difficult to analyze. There's nothing compared to analyzing data that comes from Primos. So that's the main reason. So first of all, we want to make this type of study attractive, and then there is no sophisticated data analysis behind the study. Okay. Are there any more questions? Okay. Anyhow, if you have any other questions, or if you think about something different, please let us know. Please drop us an email. I hope that you like the presentation, that you have at least an idea of how in vivo testing looks like. We know that we are one of the first CRO to fully reopen our facilities. So yes, we're very excited, and we hope to hear from you. So have a nice day. Please stay healthy, and see you next time. Thank you very much.